Uh-oh. Where'd it go? That's right. It's in the driveway. On all four wheels. I'm gonna pull it back in the garage here and car over what I did. But you can kind of see, don't mind the crap in the garage. Yeah, it didn't really lower that much. Granted, there's no weight in it. What's up, YouTube? Hopefully this will be the last time I try to record some videos on this. I've done a bunch of retakes. I had a bunch of videos from last weekend that I decided not to post. I've had a couple problems with the camera today where it just stopped recording out of the blue, and then I've also got my neighbor mowing his lawn that kept screwing up the audio. So 15th time to try. So as you saw in the intro, the car was in the driveway, so it's on all four wheels, so no surprise there. Ignore my workbench. I need to put that crap away. But I put the car on the wheel dollies just so I can move the car back and forth in the garage. I pulled it out of the driveway just so I could clean the garage up a little bit. I still need to do the brakes on that thing. The parts are on back order. Nobody has everything in one spot, and I don't feel like driving to 15 different stores to buy all the parts that I need. So you'll notice the garage door is open. It's been nice the last half of this week. When I left for Texas a couple of weeks ago, it was 90 degrees, and then when I came back from Texas, it was 40 degrees, 30 degrees the next couple of weeks. All last weekend I had the garage heater on, and here we're back to 60 degrees. Just gotta love the Chicagoland area's weather patterns, and I think next week it's supposed to snow, so this might be the last weekend where I can film with the natural light of the garage door open. Alright, let's just recap everything. I'm not gonna go over things twice if I can't help it. So on the rear end I had a little bit of a drama hooking up the eyelet bolts for the front leaf springs. The subframe connector was blocking it. It was just a hair too thick. There's a little brace on the back end where they close out the back of the tubing, and it was just too thick or too wide, and the bolt just couldn't get in there without being cockeyed. So I had to just shave off a hair off that, and then I was able to bolt it all up in place. I'll have to hit it with some spray paint just so that spot doesn't rust. I noticed when the car was out in the driveway that the rear end is about a ½ inch to the driver's side, so I still have to adjust it. This is just getting the car mobile again, right? So that I can move it in and out of the driveway, put it on dollies like this, and be able to wheel it around in the garage. I've got lots of work where I have to do, and the rear end's got to come out to be painted. I got to change the pinion seal. I've got to fix the rear cover. It's got some dings in it. I might replace it. So this is all mock-up, and plus the axle's got to come out so I can weld in those pads, the adjustable leaf spring pads. So, you know, I'm not doing all this in one shot. It's going to be taken out at a later date and then worked on. But this is all complete. It's all bolted up. It's just snug. Again, not torqued down. I won't torque it down until much later. I did want to touch on the lower shock mount plates. So I talked about in the previous video, the driver's side faces the rear, the passenger side faces the front. I thought that was wrong. No, that's actually right. So I did hook it up the right way. I just wanted to clarify in case anybody has to review this or follows in these footsteps. And the thing that I was talking about, I was calling it a brace in the last video. I don't know why. It's the cross member. There's a steel cross member. It's I think it's a ½ inch or 3/16 plate that's all bent up, and I can't show it to you because I got all that crap on the trunk, but it goes from one frame rail to the other. And if you look at the videos where I had the car on the tip over jig and I was painting and doing some welding and all that, you'll see it there, right? That's where the upper shock mounts are going to be welded to, and I gotta do that at a later date as well. Again, I want to get some weight in the car, get the suspension loaded to make sure that I have all the measurements 100% before I start welding something in. So that wraps up the rear end. Now onto the front end, and I'm not gonna be able to show you anything because the front end, the wheels and tires are on it. I put the hood on it just to add a little bit more weight while I was out in the driveway, and of course to get one thing off the garage. Went together pretty okay. I had to do the same process that I did when I took the old suspension off the subframe when it was sitting, on the other side of the garage, and I was getting sanded down and prepped for painting it. I used two 2-ton straps, wrapped it around the control arms, and then just ratcheted it tight to get the ball joints to the point where I can put the spindle on. Now the spindle is the original spindles. I didn't replace those. I didn't even bother cleaning them up because one of them's got just a little bit of wear on the inside bearing where you can catch it with your fingernail. So I don't know. I'm thinking I'm gonna want to replace it. On top of that, I don't know if I'm gonna be buying drop spindles because right now I'm not satisfied with this. I won't be satisfied with this until I have some weight in the suspension, have it loaded so that I know what that right height's going to be. I will be going with a larger diameter wheel at some point. I don't know. I keep going back and forth. I keep thinking, hey, I'm going to get just the 16-inch rim, get some meatier tires on it, or I might go with a 20. I don't know. What I'm probably going to do when I do the brakes on that thing is that thing's got 20-inch wheels. I might see if I can get those to bolt up on here. just to give it a visual, just to get a visual of it, see what it looks like. Not that that's the right style wheel for this car. That's not bad, but I just want to see. 20-inch by 8, I think is what those are. So it'll give me an idea what a bigger wheel would look like in these wheel wells. I might try it on the rear as well. So there is 2 things that are not done to complete out the suspension. It's like 90% done. When I was greasing up all the fittings that came on the new suspension, I was greasing the lower ball joint, and when I pulled the grease gun off, it took the fitting, the Zerk fitting with it. Now the Zerk fitting, the threads were fine. It pulled the threads out of the lower control arm where the ball joint is. So that was my little rant and rave from last weekend, and that's where I was just super pissed. Plus, this is not the easiest suspension to put together. So I was pissed, and I called it a weekend. All the video that I shot, I basically trashed it because I was pissed. You could clearly see it. It was ranting and raving. But I emailed the Detroit Speed to see, what do they want to do, right? And I don't think the guy understood what I was talking about because he kept telling me, hey, if you got enough grease in it, it's fine. Well, I don't like a hole in my ball joint being open to the outside air, right? It's underneath too, so any time the tire runs through water or it rains, it's going to get up underneath it. It's going to catch moisture. It's going to catch dirt. There's grease in there. I don't like that. So I bought some a package of Zerk fittings that are all different sizes. I'm going to go to the one size larger. These are 14 by 28 threads. I think there's one that's pretty close to that. That's an NTP. I don't know. I got to look at it all again. I got to figure it out, but I'm going to tap that, put that Zerk fitting in there just so it closes it out. Not that I need to add any more grease to it. It's greased enough, but I want to be able to service it in the future if it needs more grease, and I want to keep dust and moisture out of it. The other issue is with the passenger side shock, which you can see it's sitting there on the hood. The shocks come with new upper hardware, but they don't come with the lower hardware. And guess what type of lower hardware it uses? Oh yeah, J-clips. I don't know if that's the right term for these, but I call them J-clips. I don't know where I got it from, but I think that's right. I'm not sure. This came off the old control arm. The other side snapped. You can see it's pretty thin metal, and it's crusty. It's maybe original, I don't know. But yeah, that's old, and I'm surprised this one didn't snap. So I need to find another J-clips that's this size. The ones that I bought for the rear suspension for the front leaf spring pocket, they're too big. These things barely fit in there with the shock body. The shock body barely fits through the hole, and you can't put these in beforehand because if you do, the shock body or the shock won't fit through because the the body of it is just barely large enough to fit in there and have room. So these have to go in after the shock is in. You put these in, and then you can bolt the lower mount to it. Kind of a pain in the ass, but that's why that shock isn't put in. So I gotta find these. I've looked around, I can't seem to find them. So if anybody's watching this, maybe some of the other Nova guys, if you know where I can get the lower shock mounts for these, I'd appreciate it. I've looked online, I've called a couple parts stores, they don't have any clue what the hell I'm talking about. So yeah, I gotta find that. I don't know what I'm gonna do otherwise. Yeah, that's something I'll need to figure out, but that's much later. Now that the car is on 4 wheels, it's kind of loaded with some weight. I'm just going to leave it the way it is. The goal by spring is to get this car in epoxy. It's starting to flash rust on me. I got all sorts of spots on the car where more rust is coming through. I don't want to be doing rust replacement. I'm almost 100% done with rust replacement, so I gotta get this car ready for epoxy. But before I do that, I want to fix some of the metal work that I did when I was welding. I had some issues with that old MiG 175 where it would either be too hot, too cold, and there's my neighbor with the lawnmower again. To hell with it, gonna keep going. So some of the spots I warped, and I need to fix it. So I need to do that. There's some custom touches that I'm doing in the car as well. So those are going to be things that I need to fix before I can put it in epoxy. Next videos are probably going to be fixing or finishing the firewall. It's welded in, it's structurally in place, it's just spot welded in most places. It's seam welded on the top, but not the bottom. I want to seam weld it just so people don't know that it's been replaced. They're going to know it just because it's smooth, but I don't want them to know where the new metal meets the old metal. So I'm going to seam weld the underneath. I got to do some touch-ups on the inside of it as well. So that'll be probably the next video, because I want to get the firewall all finished. Then next up, it's going to be cleaning this greasy, nasty 200,000 mile pig and the trans, because it's dirty. I might actually send that out to be rebuilt. I am not a trans guy. I've never have been. Billy, if you're watching this, maybe you want to just give me some pointers on how to rebuild this, because I don't know if this transmission works in reverse or not. When I bought this trans, the wiring harness, the computer, and the motor, I got a video of the car running, doing burnouts. Or not the car, but the truck. But they told me that the reverse wasn't working on that truck. That's why they were scrapping it. Plus, it was rotted to hell. So I said, hey, I'd rather have a 4 LED that works. So like, yeah, sure, we got one in another truck, and they pulled it supposedly. I have no idea, right? I got this off of Craigslist. So I'd like to have that trans looked over or looked through and make sure it's good. If not, put in just a basic rebuild. I'm not doing too much with this car where I'm going to need like 600 horsepower, 800 horsepower kit. I think those 4 LEDs work up to 600 horsepower from the factory. So I'm going to clean this up, clean that up. I'd like to bolt it in. Down here I've got the oil pan for this to fit this car, as well as the Holley cross member that'll fit my subframe up front. So that'll mount all of that together. So I got to put this in place, get that on there. And when I do that, hopefully I can get everything aligned so that when I go to do the work, it's all marked, it's measured, it's in the right spot. Then I can just pull the rear end, weld what I need to, get it in place, and go from there. So sorry for that little bit of the long-winded rant there, but that's where we're at. I'm going to wrap the suspension up for here for the moment. I'll fix those little things here and there when I get to it, when I have opportunities. But thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it as always. Catch you next time.